Good day, everyone. I am Adrian CANOY and I am your reporter for today. We are going to talk about translation methods, target language emphasis. But first, these are the topics that are going to be discussed: adaptation, free translation, idiomatic translation, and communicative translation. So, what is target language emphasis? Target language emphasis is a type of translation that focuses on the target language, meaning in this translation method, the translator focuses on the message that will be relayed and not the source language, because there will be tendencies that the translator rewrites the text to match the culture of the target audience. Slide. So here is the first target language emphasis translation technique: adaptation. Adaptation is the freest form of translation, used mainly for plays, comedies, poetry. However, the themes, characters, plots are usually preserved, but the source language is converted to the target language's culture and the text is rewritten. It is also defined by Vinay and Darbelnay in 1958 that it is a procedure which can be used whenever the context is referred to in the original text, thereby necessitating some form of recreation. One obvious example is like when the source text is addressed to children, the translator must adapt the text in order to avoid language that might be inappropriate for a child and prepares a censored adaptation. Sexual references as well as violent language, all of these will also be replaced. Words that are too difficult to understand will also be eliminated, as well as all types of behavior that will be considered opposite to public morale. Adaptation translation is also common on adapting novels like Les Miserables, wherein the most recent popular musical adaptation was in the year 2012. So here are the examples of adapting the source language text to the target language culture. In the source language, the family celebrated the Christmas at home. In the target language, which will be in this case is the Muslims in the Philippines. Ipinagdiwang ng pamilya ang Idil Adha sa bahay. We replace the Christmas because the Muslim doesn't celebrate Christmas. So we replaced it with Idil Adha, which they celebrated on July, I think. Forgot. However, they really celebrate Idil Adha. And the next example is ipinagdiwang ng pamilya ang Thanksgiving sa bahay. I got this example from the INC religion. They don't celebrate Christmas, but they have this celebration of Thanksgiving. So that's a thought. The text was rewritten to match it to the culture of the target language. Okay, next slide. Free translation. A free translation is a translation that reproduces the general meaning of the original text. It may or may not closely follow the form of the organization of the original, and translator usually translates a phrase or a thought the way he understands it or the way a native speaker would, without minding the arrangement of words and phrases. Here are the examples. Her decision to leave her job for a new one was ill thought. In the target language of which will be the Filipino, people, it will come like ang desisyon niya na umalis ng trabaho para sa panibago ay hindi niya pinag-isipan ng maayos. Next example is, I am looking for my cat. Hinahanap ko ang aking pusa. She loves swimming at the beach. Mahilig siyang maligo sa dagat. Now, if we translate this, she loves swimming at the beach into type of translation word for word, I think it will sound like mahilig siyang lumangoy sa dagat, which will sound wrong in the native speakers of Tagalog. So that's it. Let's move to the next slide. Idiomatic translation. Idiomatic translation is a translation based on meaning and expression that communicates the meaning of the source language text into the natural form of the language to the target language. It is also a translation technique that original meaning is translated into a form that accurately and naturally retains the meaning of the original form. So basically, the idiomatic translation is like from the idiom of the source language to you should translate the idiom to its source language also for you to be able to translate the meaning of the idiom to the target language. Here are the examples. It's raining cats and dogs outside. In its own source language, it will mean it's raining heavily outside. So we will be able to translate into the target language, which will sound like umuulan ng malakas sa labas. Next example is, let's call it a day. In English translation source language, it means let's stop working. In the target language, it will sound like, it will go like, hinto na tayo sa pagtatrabaho. Sorry. So next slide. Oh, here are the more examples. Blow off steam. Magpalamig ka muna ng ulo mo. Through thick and thin, sa hirap at ginhawa. Let's cross the bridge when we get there. Mamaya na natin poproblemahin pag nandyan na. So basically, hopefully you get the thought. Next slide tayo. Communicative translation. Communicative translation is a translation theory mainly explores translation methods from the perspective of the target readers. It is emphasized that the effect produced by target language readers in reading the translated text is as consistent as possible with that produced by the source language readers in reading the original text. Usually, the translation is smooth, clear, direct, and easy to understand. Also, this type of translation is mostly used on informative signs and such. For example, no smoking. Bawal manigarilyo. No entry. Bawal pumasok. He added insult to injury when he told him. Pinalala niya ang sitwasyon nang sinabi niya sa kanya. So next slide. Now, these last two concepts are Peter Newmark's own methods. And he stated that only practice can show whether they will be useful as terms of reference in translation. The first one would be cognitive translation. Cognitive translation reproduces the information in a SL text, converting the SL grammar to its natural or normal TL transposition. It usually reduces the figurative to literal language. According to Peter Newmark, this translation is mainly theoretical or a useful concept, but as a pre-translation procedure, it is appropriate in a difficult, complicated stretch of text. A pragmatic component, usually added to produce a semantic or communicative translation. Pragmatic means the social language skills that we use daily on interacting others. What we say, how we say it, something like that. The next one would be academic translation. This type of translation is practiced in some British universities. It reduces an original SL text to an elegant, idiomatic, educated TL version, which follows a non-existent literary register. It irons out the expressiveness of a writer with modish colloquialism. So to sum it all up, a good translator must know who is the target language, who are the target language, and the culture of the target language, because in target language emphasis, it fully focuses on the message to be comprehensible, smooth, and culture appropriate. So that's all. Thank you.